Hello. How's everything going today? Hope it's going good. Today, I'm going to do some creature sketching. I'm going to do a version of the legendary Chupacabra from Central America, Southern United States. As you can see here in front of you, I have a mood board already set up. It's a lot of interesting visual stuff that I have sorted out, ready to go. Got a few bugs here. I got these mainly for the eyes, because it's supposed to have, according to eyewitness accounts, bug-like eyes, scaly reptile-like skin. I have some iguana photos here. I got these mainly for the spines. And of course, later accounts have documented that the Chupacabra may have been a coyote with mange. There's a couple other dogs here with mange and some teeth references. This poor guy with a damaged snout. But it's a very interesting visual, this, for fangs. Got some vulture faces, wrinkly and ugly and all that. Anyways, let's go ahead and open a new document. Won't make it that big. Height about 4,000, something like that. And what I'm going to do is just have this sitting on the sidelines. If I need to pull up some reference, I can do so. And as you also saw, I have this other sketch of Chupacabra. That's one of my older sketches that I recently inked up. Took a picture, brought it to Photoshop. And you can already see a general idea of what I'm going for. I'm going for something a bit more reptilian in nature. But I am going to try some other designs. I'll probably try stuff that is more bug-like, something that's closer to the mange. Coyotes with mange. So, first things first. Bring that down. Make it a little bit easy on the eyes, as I mentioned in a previous video. Starting with pure white is usually not the best idea. Get down to about 50%. I'll use a different brush. That one seems about good for sketching. All right. So I'll just bring it up to a certain area. Whoa. Alright, so Chupacabra. Things that we're looking for. We got red bug-like eyes. Basically determining specs right now. Things that should be consistent throughout each design. It's kind of slow. That's better. Rough, scaly skin. Fangs or canines. Just perfect for sucking the blood of goats and other stuff like that. And jumping and hopping. One of the things I have on my mood board, as you can see here, is a little diagram of some rabbit muscles, just to give me an idea of some kind of animal that jumps and hops. Kangaroos also work, but I didn't want to go for an animal that has such a posture as the kangaroo. Anyways, let's try sketching. So I'm going to go for 3 different approaches. I'm going to go for the canine. I'll just put it here. Something a bit more bug-like, probably a bit more alien. And go for something a bit more reptilian. Could also be a bit, I cannot spell. Probably will also be a bit more alien, as I was going to mention. But we'll try different approaches instead of just settling with one idea. I'll just pull these guys away. So I'll just draw lines down here. I don't know what happened down here. Anyways, enough jibber jabber. Let's go ahead and start sketching. Something a bit more canine in appearance. Sort of like this little hunched over posture. I'm gonna make him bipedal so he's not sitting like the coyote that's in the picture here. Just go ahead and put in the big forms. This is going to be like a half study in a way. I'm not really going for any crazy designs right away. Sort of a safe approach. Probably a bit more of a realistic approach. This video might be a little long, so I might do it in different parts. But with that said, I'm going to try not to rush things. Unlike my last video, which was basically do things in a time limit and anything after that is useless. Not going for any any smaller details just yet. It's getting the big forms down. Let's give him a little tail, a little something. Let's do some adjustments. Just close this real quick. So what's interesting about mange are these little textures that come up. It's sad to see these dogs in such a condition, but the visual is what I'm after. Let me backtrack a little bit, have a look at some of these animals. Kind of like the little wrinkles are showing up, so. Give it some like loose skin or whatever. Sort of like the idea of having some slight fur. Let me adjust posture of this guy a little bit. So I'm keeping the designs fairly loose right now. You can sort of consider this more of a warm-up than anything. Let's have this paw like almost tucked in. Okay, so let's lighten this guy up and let's start going in with some finer details. Actually, a better idea would be to blow this guy up. See if we can do some adjustments with warp. All right. Now I still want to make this guy a bit more original instead of just straight up coyote dude. Now, a little bit of backstory on the Chupacabras while I'm drawing these guys out. Chupacabra. First of all, the name is Spanish for goat sucker because mysteriously within the Latin Americas, a lot of livestock, specifically goats, have been found with puncture wounds and supposedly have been drained of blood. Now at first, whatever was causing this was a complete mystery, but then there were sightings of this strange creature hopping on its hind legs. and it had these weird red glowing eyes. Some people describe it as having a row of spines on its head. It would have possibly these kangaroo-like limbs that allow it to hop around. And it would also have this scaly skin. It's quite a fascinating creature. A couple years ago, some specimens of coyotes were found, and they were found to have this condition called mange. And as you can see, it can be quite a nasty condition for a lot of canines. They end up losing their hair and they get this rough, scaly, crumbly texture on their skin. It's quite nasty. Other mammals can get it, like they found it in bears and monkeys and stuff like that as well. Just go ahead and, once again, still not worrying too much about too much detail. Make it a bit more skinny, a bit more scrawny. Indicates some of the spine. It's definitely not the most original design, because I'm basically just going for the straight coyote, but as I said, this is more of a warm-up at this point. Come on. Come on. Just recently watched the newly released Diablo trailer. Looks kind of interesting. I'm probably not going to play it though. I haven't really played many video games in a while. Trying to focus on doing more drawing. One of the reasons why I started up YouTube. I didn't want to get stuck doing just video games if it's not getting me to where I want to be. The best way to be to where you want to be is to do what you want to do. And by do what you want to do, I mean actually what you want to do, not just, oh, well, I want to play video games, so I'll play video games. Keep the anatomy in mind. Got the bones, the pelvis over here. Femur comes down here. And this is basically like a foot. You got the calcaneus sticking out here. Keep that in mind. Have him sort of leaning back in a bit, in a way, like so. Necessary adjustments and changes. Okay, so let's start actually doing some design here instead of just oh, look at this mangled up dog standing on his hind legs. So it's got, I'll give it some like hairs. Hairs going along its back. Let me bring this guy up again. Very sad sight. It's unfortunate to see dogs like this, but when you're designing some kind of a mangled creature like this, these sort of images are just really, really handy. Go for some of those gnarly bits on his head as well. I'll actually keep him without any pupils or anything. It's probably be the only like canine inspired Chupacabra I do. Let me actually, who's this guy? Just close this. I'll exaggerate the teeth a bit. Actually, I'll have him open his mouth a little bit wider as well. Somebody sees a creature like this in their backyard trying to feed on their livestock, it'll be a bit terrifying, even if it may be harmless to people. Don't I don't recall if there was any like documented accounts of the Chupacabra going after people, but have some bristly bits standing up on end. Take a little bit more creative liberties. Go down its tail. Keeping in mind the anatomy. It'd be cool if it was like actually going way back in. Trying to make sure everything is more or less accurate. Make his tongue look a little bit shriveled up. Okay, this is too sad. I'm going back to one of these guys. They're all sad. Okay, that one's not too bad. Let's add a bit more crumbly textures and stuff. Make them look really nasty. Can make the rest of the teeth a bit more like worn out and mangled. want to try to get at least one sketch per prompt. So I'll have one canine, one bug, one reptilian design. Try to come up with something interesting that I can then bring to a more complete painting later. Could even combine some elements from each design. Make like a little stubble, little hair stubble. The nostrils stand out a bit more. Almost looks like an undead dog creature thing. Though when you see the state that some of these dogs are in, it's not too far off. Closer look at this guy. It's like it took a walk in a river of acid and the top of its fur is still intact, but it's trying to get some of that central texture. It looks like it's like tearing up. It's more of that crumbling goodness, if that's what you want to call it. Still not sure about the nose. Should I give it just the regular dog's nose? Should I make it mangled? I kind of like it better as the dog's nose, simply because it strengthens the silhouette a bit. Because it sticks out a little bit instead of just jutting in. It sort of sticks out like so. It gives a nice form like that. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. Be interesting if some of these areas sort of stick out a bit as well. It's got like crumbly gunk or whatever over its eyes. Put some more of those long bristly furs. Almost like a porcupine. Of course there's more. It's got like a bit of a mane, except it's all nasty. It's not like a wolf's mane or a lion's mane where it's majestic or whatever. It's just nasty. Usually whenever the muscles get weak, the stomach tends to hang out a bit instead of like get sucked in, because there's like less muscle holding it in. So you notice this on a lot of the starving African kids, their chest is like almost right to their rib cage, but then their stomach hangs out like this because there's like no muscle left. It's because they're malnourished. So it's just their bodies are just basically eating themselves. Shame stuff like this happens, but sometimes the information can be useful in certain situations, such as whenever you're designing a malnourished creature. I'll actually do this real quick. Darken up. Pause a bit, because they're going to be all covered in dirt anyways. Especially the hind legs. Don't really want to worry about that foot too much. Could actually embellish these claws a bit as well. Show the back claw. I'm almost done this concept. It looks pretty decent for what I'm going for. Can move on to the bug-like. We also bring up a second window. After doing that, I can tell that the head looks humongous. So I can fix that just by doing this. Make its head too big. If I make its head too big, it'll look a bit too top heavy. I could compensate by giving it like a counterbalance with a tail or something, but two. Give it some like drool or something. His mouth is all dried up. It hasn't drank water in a while. It's just got this like phlegm that It keeps like hacking up. Where's that skull? Here it is. Let's get a little indication of some of these teeth. Looks like there's 6 in the front. I don't have to draw all 6, but let's put something there. I mean, heck, it could even have some missing teeth. Some dirt on its teeth. Probably scratching around